Hey, welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Very special guest here today. I have Matt Youmans from VSIN. He's a VSIN host, and he's. I'm going to call you the betting expert. Is that okay if I call you that?
Yeah, we've got several betting experts at VSIN, so
Okay, you're one of them at least, right?
expert can be I guess, a loose definition. Some weeks you look like an expert, some weeks you look like an idiot, but that's the way. Yeah.
Yep, that's the betting world for you, unfortunately. So VSIN is the first 24/7 broadcast network, and you guys are dedicated exclusively to sports betting, right? How many of you? How many co-hosts, other hosts are over there with you total at VSIN?
So we started VSIN in I think it was January 2017, right before our first day on air was that Falcons Patriots Super Bowl 28-3, and
Ah,
Brent Musburger, obviously the face of the network, and we were on air with Brent that first Super Bowl Sunday 8 years ago. So this is our 8th birthday coming up on the network. We had a relatively small staff at that time, maybe about 10 or 12 hosts. And, as of now, we've at least doubled that number. We probably have 20 to 30 hosts on the network. And we do 18 hours of live shows per day. And we're going to have a monster lineup on Super Bowl Sunday. So,
awesome.
it's basically the ESPN of sports betting. I say that, but it's without all the nonsense that you see on ESPN. So I actually
Yeah.
think, a lot of those garbage talk shows you get on ESPN, you don't get those on VSIN. You get more. We have some entertaining shows, but it's more about straight from a betting perspective and, broadcast straight out of a sports book, the largest sports book in the world in downtown Las Vegas at the Circuit Casino.
Now you guys cover right now. Obviously, the NFL and the Super Bowl is the big coverage for the betting world. Do you guys? What other? Is there any other sports you guys specialize in, or do you have a favorite sport to bet on yourself?
My favorite sport to bet on probably college football and
Okay.
NFL close behind, college basketball right there. We've got different experts in pretty much every field, including golf. Do a lot of baseball over the summer. You name it,
Yeah.
well, we have guys who handicap it. But for me, the sports I like the most and bet the most would be college football, college basketball, NFL. Those would be the top three for me.
Who's your college football team?
Well, it just depends. Whoever I bet on that week. I mean, I went to Purdue. I'm a graduate of Purdue, but they had an
Oh,
abysmal football season. I grew up
yeah.
going to Notre Dame and Purdue football games
Okay.
when I was a kid in the Indiana, Chicago area. So I
Very
was I
cool.
was hoping Notre Dame would pull off the national championship upset of Ohio State. Didn't quite get there, but
Yeah.
I would say Notre Dame and Purdue are the two college football teams. And obviously, I've been out here on the West Coast for 25 years, so I actually follow the Pac-12, if you want to call it that. It no longer exists, but the Mountain West,
Yeah.
Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, those are the SEC, of course. Those are the conferences I follow the most. But people say, who's your favorite team? I've been in media and been betting for so long that my favorite team is whoever I bet on today.
Uh-huh.
Basically, it just I don't I don't have a favorite NFL team necessarily. Like a lot of people live and die with their favorite team, whether it be the Buffalo Bills or whoever. I'm not really like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could be a good thing. Yeah, I like that. I like that point of view. Whoever wins you the money is going to be your team. I like it. I just recently got into sports betting, probably like more so than I usually have this past NFL season when the NFL season started. Do you have any tips for those that are just getting into the sports betting world, or maybe they want to try to start dipping their foot into it? Any first time tips? Any advice for those that are looking to get into it?
My first tip would be never overbet your means, right? Don't bet more than you can afford to lose because it's a lot
Hmm.
tougher than people think. I know a lot of guys think I know sports inside and out. I can pick winners. Betting and beating the game is a lot more difficult than people think, and
Yeah.
that's why if you watch VSIN, you're going to soak up a lot of lessons and a lot of handicapping angles and approaches that we use to hopefully make us successful and pass it on to the viewers and the listeners on VSIN because it's tough. It's a tough game to beat, and
Yeah.
that's why very few a small percentage of people who try to make a go of it as a pro actually can do it. Maybe about
Yeah.
2% to where you can make a living betting on sports. So I know a lot of guys are cocky and confident and think they can do it. It's tough to do. I'd say you got to really zero in on your research and your handicapping approaches. Stick to your strengths, right? Bet the conferences or the leagues or the teams where you have the most knowledge. You have the most success handicapping. Once you spread yourselves too thin, like I love college hoops, but there's 350 teams. I don't
Yeah.
try to handicap every small school on the East Coast because that's not my strength. And if I did that, I would be a loser. It's hard enough to win when you're handicapping to your strengths and betting on what you know best. So, hey,
Uh-huh.
we could talk about that for 3 hours. But if you watch VSIN every day, you're going to pick up a lot of those lessons that help you become a winning bettor. Hopefully.
Yeah. I agree 110% with you. So, speaking of just getting into betting, a lot of promos are available to those that sign up for all of the betting apps and sports book websites and stuff like that. VSiN is running a Super Bowl special right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's like $59 off for
Yeah.
Super Bowl 59. Anyway, if you go to VSIN.com, you're going to see everything up there. We also have an app where you can watch the shows or listen to the shows. So we're on a bunch of radio stations and cable TV channels across the country. So there's a lot of ways to find it. But the easiest thing to do is to go to VSIN.com and you're going to find everything you need there.
Okay, you heard it here first. Head on over to the website and sign up now. You can get that special promo deal. So let's get into the Super Bowl here. The big game's coming up Sunday. So the first question I ask everybody about the Super Bowl isn't even football related. What kind of food are you planning on having?
The kind of food? Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to be at the Circa Casino downtown Vegas watching this game, so I'm not going to be at a
Okay.
Super Bowl party where I have really no idea what kind of food's going to be there. But I can tell you that hamburgers are going to be a part of it. I can guarantee. Super Bowl. Super Bowl's got to be. It's got to be hamburgers and beer and hot dogs. Just the basic football fare that you could throw on the grill.
Yeah.
Probably if I had my choice, if I could tailor made have a tailor made menu for Super Bowl Sunday, I'd probably have like a barbecue brisket sandwich, maybe a steak, who knows. But I've got to do the post game show on VSIN for 2 hours after the game Sunday night, so I can tell you I will not be drinking all day during the game, but I will be down at Circa the entire day. It's the biggest sports book in the world. If you've never been there, you should try to check it out. It's a great place to watch the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. I've always said I would rather be in Vegas to watch the Super Bowl than be at the game itself. You're gonna have a much
Mhm.
better time in Vegas.
Did you when you said you guys got your start at the Patriots Falcons game? Were you guys at that game,
Oh no,
or were you
no,
just covering the game?
no. We're broadcasting from the South Point Casino in Vegas on
Okay.
that was the first day we broadcast live on that Super Bowl Sunday. We had
Uh-huh.
Brent Musburger on the air. We had all of our hosts on the air all day. Pre-game show, during the game, live betting show, post-game. No, we don't. It doesn't really benefit us to be at the game.
Okay.
Really, we're doing shows from a sports betting perspective, so it's much better
Mm.
for us to be in Vegas.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So who do you have winning on Sunday? Who do you think is going to pull off the victory?
Okay, so in the VSIN Super Bowl, actually, I should say in the VSIN preseason, NFL preseason magazine, essentially what we put out, I picked the Eagles over the Chiefs as my Super Bowl exacta this year, and there's no reason for me not to stick with it at this point. I don't bet a lot of Super Bowl futures. I bet two of them this year. One was a dead bet on the New York Jets at 30-1, no chance on Aaron Rodgers. The other, I bet the Eagles at 16-1 to win the Super Bowl. So I've got that going for me, which is nice. We'll see how that works out. I do think the Eagles have an edge in this game, and that's with their offensive line. And they probably have the best offensive line in the league, and they've definitely got the best rushing attack in the league. And with
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, I think that's where the Eagles are going to have the edge. Running the ball, controlling the game with Barkley. And also, hey, Philadelphia might have the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has faced. And
Yeah.
when you look at the Chiefs, I don't want to take anything away from them because winning is the name of the game, but the Chiefs play with fire. constantly, right? They're 12-0 in one-score games. Have won 5 games by 3 points or fewer. When you play with fire, eventually you're going to get burned. And the Chiefs been
Yeah.
lucky in so many games this
Yeah.
season. I think their luck is going to get run out in the Super Bowl. We've never seen a three-peat in the Super Bowl era. And is it going to shock me if Mahomes and the Chiefs win? Of course not, because that's what they do. They find ways to win. But I'm going with the Eagles. I got to stick with my preseason pick here. I got the Eagles winning the game 24-23. It might be a much higher scoring game.
Yeah.
Predicting the points for me is difficult in this one because it could be a big play or two in the fourth quarter, and then the scoring explodes and the game goes
Yeah.
crazy. If you remember last year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas, Super Bowl 58 was here in Vegas, and it was a pretty boring game up until the fourth quarter, and then things really
Mm-hmm.
picked up. And I had the Chiefs last year, and I got to tell you, I was lucky. I knew I was lucky to get a win with the Chiefs because the 49ers had them dead to rights. 49ers should have won that game, and they blew it, and the Chiefs won in overtime. But that was a pretty boring game until the fourth quarter in OT. It's always,
Yeah.
I think, predicting the game flows difficult. I lean to the under, with the total of 49. I think the total might go as high as 50. A lot of people are expecting a high scoring game. I'm not going to bet the total. I'm just going to bet the Eagles. I got the Eagles on the Super Bowl future, and I kind of like the Eagles to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm picking the Eagles as well.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a Washington Commanders fan, it pains me to do it, but
Okay.
I'd rather see the Eagles win than the Chiefs. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people are talking up Saquon Barkley. He's had an amazing season. I think he needs 30 rushing yards to break the all-time rushing record for a regular season and playoffs. I believe. I think it's held by. Don't quote me on this. Was it Terrell Davis? I don't know if that's correct or not.
Probably was Terrell Davis.
Somewhere around there. But I think he needs 30 yards to do that. So obviously he's probably going to get that. A lot of people are taking him for a 2-touchdown game, which isn't out of the question for him as well. But I also like Devonta Smith. Seems to have a huge game every time he plays the Chiefs. The last time they met in the Super Bowl, 7 catches, 100 yards, and then they played again in 2023 after that, the next season, and he had 6 catches for 99 yards.
Yeah.
Do you think Devonta will go off again in the Super Bowl this year?
There's a decent chance that's going to happen. I know a lot of sharp bettors like Devontae Smith. Props over. They also like Dallas Goedert, the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually looked at some of the Devontae Smith props myself. I've thought about playing. I wonder in this game how much the Eagles are going to throw it. I know they'll throw it a decent amount for sure. They're not going to run Saquon Barkley every time. But I think where the Eagles have to control this game is on the ground with Barkley and use the run to set up the pass. And then Devontae Smith is definitely of the pass catchers on the Philadelphia side, that would be the guy I would play on the props. And I'm looking at a few of those. I might play Devontae Smith too. So I would agree with you. I think you get the you got the right guy in mind there when you're looking at Devontae Smith. And it's very hard with these Saquon Barkley prop numbers so high. It's kind of hard to bet over the Barkley prop numbers, but at the same time, I think he's going to have a huge game, right?
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, then the Eagles are going to be in trouble. But I think that's where the Eagles have the edge: offensive line and Barkley. And it's not going to surprise me if Barkley goes for 120. Hey, and the 2 playoff games so far, the Kansas City defense has allowed 149 yards rushing to the Texans and 147 to the Bills. A pretty good chance you're going to allow 150 plus to Philadelphia this week.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree 100%. Do you think Travis Kelce will show up at all? Usually he has a knack for showing up in the games that matter. He hasn't had the stellar season like he usually has. Do you think he'll have a big game here for the Chiefs?
I don't know, because prior to the game against the Bills, everyone talked about the trend with Travis Kelce. In 14 consecutive playoff games, he had 71 yards receiving or more. And so there are a lot of bettors taking Kelce over catches, over yards. The Bills took him out of the game. Essentially, he had 2 catches for, 19 yards? He wasn't much of a factor in the AFC Championship game against Buffalo. So I would think that Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, is going to try to do something similar. You don't want to let Travis Kelce beat you. You can't outlive with that. If you lose the Super Bowl on Sunday night and you look and Travis Kelce has 8 to 10 catches and 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. How can you allow that to happen? You can't.
Yeah.
So I think that the Eagles are going to have more of a focus on trying to take Kelsey out of
Yeah.
it. I'm going to stay away from the Kelsey props. I'm definitely staying away from the Kelsey Taylor Swift props.
Yep, and I'm sure she'll be in attendance. It would be I'd be very surprised if she wasn't. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure having you on here today. The big game coming up Sunday. Check out VSIN and all their broadcasts they have. Like Matt said, they'll be broadcasting all day long live from Vegas. So make sure you check them out. And Matt, I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. Have fun on Sunday, and hope to hook up again here soon. Okay.
Andy, great being on with you, and best of luck if you bet the game Sunday, and I'm sure you're going to
Yes.
bet the game.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.